Hello there, folks. There have been a lot of different kinds of vinyl tags out there since the beginning of the year, and I'm a little bit behind in most of them, but I felt that there was one, aside from the normal vinyl tag, that I thought that I would do. I also have some asking whether I would do this tag or not, and I felt like, yeah, maybe I should. And that's the jazz vinyl tag. So here comes my response to the jazz vinyl tag 2025. Starting with the first question, the first jazz album I purchased in 2024. I had to go back on Facebook and see on Facebook groups that I posted pictures of recent purchased album what was, because I had no idea in my head what it was. But it turned out that the first album I bought in 2024 was this, with Swedish saxophone player Lars Gullin. It is a compilation called 8 p.m. with tracks from 1954 to 56. Released on a really great label called Dragon. The last jazz album I purchased in 2024, well, it was at a thrift store that I go to regularly, that had been coming, where there had been coming in a whole lot of early jazz. You who have seen my vinyl CD updates know what I'm talking about. And it was a lot of those that I bought. So there was 3 albums I bought, actually. It was this with Red Nichols. We're talking really early jazz from the 20s. It was this double with Benny Carter from RCA Black and White's Jazz Tribune. And it was this with Tommy Flanagan from Pablo. So these 3 were the last stuff I bought in 2024. Favorite trio album? There were a lot. I could have picked an Oscar Peterson, but I felt I wanted to have take something more unusual, so I picked Duke Ellington's Piano Reflections that I bought last year. An album that really views Duke Ellington from a different view. Normally he's famous for his orchestra. Here it is. Some tracks actually he also plays only with by himself, but they're mostly in trio, and they are it shows that how underrated it was playing piano all by himself. So this is a really great one. A 10-inch or a collection from the 10-inch era. I have very little 10-inch. The 10-inch I bought last year is more or less the only thing I have, but I picked this one. Found last year, the original Dixieland Jazz Band, with some of the first recordings that ever was made of jazz music. We're talking recordings from 1917 to 1918. But this is still on a 10-inch, and it's really great, even for me who is no big fan of Dixieland. An artist or album you recently discovered? There is an artist that I discovered last year. I had an album by him once before, and it actually then I was a little bit disappointed, thinking that this was interesting at all. I bought it in Gothenburg and listened to it, and it was I thought it was not that good, so I gave up on this big band leader, thinking he's not for me. But last year I found another one, and I felt like, okay, I give him another chance, and it turned out that I was wrong all along. It was really great. So I'm going to I have discovered him for real now, Edgar Hayes, who is more known as an arranger and composer, but he had an orchestra also, Swinging Jewels. This is, and he is bringing out something new in arrangements and in compositions, and I really changed my mind about him. So I discovered him for real again. A live album from the west coast of US, which means cool jazz. So I picked this one, Chet Baker and Stan Getz, West Coast Live. And 2 CD set. It is from Los Angeles. It says the Tiffany Club. We have a live album from Europe. I have a lot of those. I could have easily picked a Swedish live album. I have many of those with Swedish artists, but that would be too easy. But still, it is in Sweden, but it is with an American artist. I have a couple of these from Jazz Years that was recorded on Swedish radio. This is with Stan Kenton and his orchestra in Stockholm, 1956. I have one with Woody Herman, also in Stockholm, and I have one legendary that I treasure the most, maybe, with Benny Goodman from 1950. But this is Stan Kenton from Stockholm, 1956. Highly recommended. Foreign record from a US expat. I had to Google what that was, but it turned out from an artist that lived outside of US. I took this one still. I'm not sure about foreign record, what this category means, but I took this one because this artist lived in Denmark for many years. I think he left US for taxes. Dexter Gordon and Dexter Writes Again. It's the closest thing I have, though. I don't have any Dexter Gordon that he released in Copenhagen. We have an album led by a non-US artist. Also, I could easily have picked a Swedish one. I could have picked once again Lars Gullin. But a little too easy. I picked this one. The artist here is a Japanese pianist. Her name is Toshiko Anyuki and something like that. Toshiko is her artist name. Toshiko and her International Jazz Sextet, United Nations, which means that it is Toshiko from Japan, Bert Dalander, Nils Bertil Dalander from Sweden, Nat Adderley from USA, Rolf Kuhn from Germany, and Bobby Jasper from Belgium, René Thomas from Canada, and John Drew from England, from UK. So it is a really international setting here. But this is recorded in 1950. I think it is 56 or 57 or 58. But it is a really, really great one. Really, really great one. Toshiko, if I don't remember wrong, it was discovered when Oscar Peterson was touring in Japan, and he took her over to USA. An album led by bass player, and I don't have that much of those. But this one was pretty natural. Not an original answer, but still. Charlie Mingus and Mingus in Wonderland. 1959. A live album, recorded live at Nonagon Art Gallery, New York. Show an album from a small label. This is a small label that I really like, a Swedish label. It is called Tax, and this is an album. This is a label that was created by Carl Hellström. I'm not sure. I haven't found any other information about it than that he was the one who put together these records. I don't know if he was the only one who was working there or not, but it's called Tax, T-A-X. And in Sweden it is the word for the dog, this type of dog. But this label Tax released a whole lot of jazz albums with musicians that normally aren't seen that much with bands of their own. And a lot of 40s, 30s, 40s recordings that aren't all that easy to find. Like here we have Frankie Newton at the Onyx Club. We have here Bonnie Bigard and his Jazzopeers. I found a whole bunch of these with Duke Ellington's Men in a solo, with solo bands. And the interesting thing here is that Duke Ellington is actually playing on some tracks here. Most likely, Bonnie Bigard is said to put to be the band leader here because of contractual reasons. But very interesting to find. And as I showed, Tax release CDs also like this John Kirby sextet. So very small label that I really like, and I really buy when I find it. Tax. We have show an artist that has recorded for 4 or more labels. Don't have that much check on that, but this is my answer. I didn't pick out all the records from all the labels, but I have a musician that played on 4 labels, and I'm talking about Miles Davis, who recorded on Capitol as this masterpiece, Birth of the Cool. He recorded on Prestige, on Columbia. Even 5 labels I found. That is correct, 5 labels. He played also on Fontana, like this, Miles Ahead. And he plays also on Warner. So Miles Davis played on 5 labels. And here is 2 of them. 2 really, some of Miles Davis' best albums, definitely in his career. We have show an artist label or jazz subgenre that you would like to explore more. Explore in this case, artist in this case. I'm talking about a musician that is hard to explore. I would like to explore more, but it isn't that much to find because he did so little during his very short time alive. I'm talking about the pianist Dick Twardzik that I've heard recordings from where he was a sideman pianist. I heard when I was younger tracks when he played the piano on different musicians. he was extremely young. He died only 24 years old, 23 or 24 years old. When he was on tour with Chet Baker, he died of an overdose. So he had a very sad life, trying to live like his idols, more or less. So a very sad life, but he released extremely little. This is complete recordings, it says. So he released very little, but would like to explore him more if there are a possibility to do that. An album that is not well recorded, but that I love. Normally, when a record isn't all that well sounding, I don't keep it. There are examples from that label that I've talked about that I really hate, MCPS. A label is not a label, but those label that has MCPS marked on the records. MCPS, who are the British copyright organization. But this is an exception. I found this at the record store that I normally go to, Venustallet. It turned out that the sound of this is not all that good, but I still keep it because it is really, really great for the swing. Sitting In by Chu Berry, the tenor saxophone player. And really nice album. Really nice swing album here. Not sounding all that good, but still, I really like it musically. A lesser known album from an artist that I love, 15. I'm picking an album that by an artist, an album that I showed many times before, but it is a fantastic album that I can't show enough. One of the best jazz albums I own, and it's not all that easy, I think. The Lost Sessions, the Earl Swoop Sextet, 1945. Now, it's not Earl Swoop that is one of my favorites. It is Lenny Tristano. Lenny Tristano, who, as I said before, is one of my absolute favorites because of his technique, where he takes famous melodies and twists them so magnificent that sometimes you can hardly hear that it is that song. And his piano's playing style. Been a fan of him ever since I was a child. This also contains, not only with Swoop Sextet, it also contains, and those Swoop are some of his earliest recordings. It also contains a lot of his own tracks. The songs from this one was some of the first old jazz recordings I listened to on Swedish radio when I started listening to jazz in the mid-80s. So, but very hard to find these early Lenny Tristano tracks. An artist that you're surprised did not lead more albums. There are many of those sidemen that I've heard a lot of on Swedish radio during my years, and that I never seem to have found that much with. Or Joe Bushkin, piano player, but I picked another one that I don't have an album on his own with, but he is mentioned here, and that is Johnny Guarnieri. And this here plays on an album with Les Young that I bought in Stockholm, also released in Savoy. Johnny Guarnieri played loyal behind Benny Goodman with Les Young and all these 40s swing names. And every time when I listened to jazz radio when I was younger, the host would say, and the piano player was Johnny Guarnieri. And almost every 40 swing track I listened to, and I never ever seen that, hardly ever seen a track with him solo. I have Googled and see that he did extremely few recordings with an own band. He was a sideman, but he did a few. He had a piano trio at one time. He had a jazztet at a time, a jazzman band. But he was a really, really good piano player in 40 swing. Very underrated. Should have been doing more of his own, actually. We have a Latin jazz album that is Latin-based with Latin-based compositions. I have a lot of Brazilians, but not that much albums with that is considered Latin jazz. But I think the most normal that comes up to my mind is Stan Getz. This is Getz, The Best of Two Worlds, featuring Joe Gilberto, and with Astrid Gilberto also here on the cover. But he played with the Gilbertos a lot, and his Brazilian tracks, as well as a few Americans also. Just one of those things. Double rainbow. And see, someone has written on the sleeve. I think it is Stan himself. We have number 18, a fusion record, and that I have to leave a blank because I don't listen to jazz fusion at all. I have no record of that subgenre, so I can't give any answer to that. 19, an album with the oddest instrumentations. I'm no huge fan when it is too odd instrumentation. I am too I'm too old-fashioned for that. But if they are really, really odd and very special from an artist that I like, I think it could be very, very interesting. It depends on the musician, it depends on the style and so on. But this I picked was an album but also connected to my early jazz years in the 80s, because at Swedish radio there was some tracks played by a group with a mix of Danish, Norwegian and a Swedish musician, a band called Scandinavian Tuba Jazz. And it is what it sounds like, what it says. It is the only horns are placed are tubas. And not often you hear, if you hear a tuba, it is most likely as a replacement for bass in a Dixieland band. But in this case, tubas are put in the front like a tenor saxophone or like a trumpet, and it sounds very interesting, very, very interesting and unique. And they play Old Blues by Miles Davis. They play How Deep Is the Ocean, and a whole lot of different interesting stuff. That it is released in the 80s, so 1985 also. So it is a little maybe 80s in the arrangement, but it is really, really nice, odd. And we have number 20 then, an album you have the most copies of, and if I have a duplicate, I normally get rid of it. But or most albums by a single artist, and I pick most albums by a single artist. I haven't counted, so this is a pure guess. But I think this is, it must be that. I have many albums, I have tons of 45s, CDs, and as much as I like this artist, it is actually not something I've counted that I'm going to collect this artist. It is because he's so easy to find, and he has done so many different kind of stuff that I don't, seems to find new stuff all the time that I don't have. I'm talking about Benny Goodman. that I have a whole lot. I picked 2 of these that I have. This is once again a favorite label of mine, RCA's Black and White series. And this is his orchestra, trio, and guests. And we have this really nice one, Benny Goodman Sextet featuring Charlie Christian. So I have a lot of Benny Goodman, maybe too much. But if I find something really interesting, I buy it. And I showed this also pretty recently that I found. Sextet and Trio and Rosemary Clooney. So there are a lot of Benny Goodmans. So that was my response for the Jazz Vinyl Tag 2025. I felt like I wanted to do this, actually, this tag. As I love tags and I love jazz. Nice combination. So I hope that every one of you have a really nice time. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And I hope that you have a nice time no matter where you are, no matter what you do. Take care and so long.